𝗠𝘁 Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Asatara Satashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai Mathura Dhama Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai Gangamaya Jamuna Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskachade Shatarane Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Vanchakapachubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it's October 8th. Or you want to introduce me? Yes, okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we have the good fortune of Her Grace Urmila Mataji visiting our temple over here. Her Grace Urmila Mataji was born in 1955 in New York City. She joined ISKCON in 1973. That is, she was 18 years old that time in Chicago. She received first initiation in 1973 at the age of 18 and second initiation in 1975 at the age of 20 from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Urmila Mataji has a doctorate in education and a master's in school administration, both from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She has 3 decades of experience as a primary school teacher and has taught hundreds of children to read English. She has written a book on teaching children and managing school, 𝗦𝗿𝗺 Children. For 10 years, she wrote a regular education column in Back to Godhead magazine, the international magazine of ISKCON. From her guru, she learned about traditional Indian education, culture philosophy, bhakti yoga, and the stories of India's sacred literatures. She and her husband have 3 children and 14 grandchildren and have been in the renounced order of
And 2 great-grandchildren.
And 2 great-grandchildren as well. And have been in the renounced order of Vanaprastha since 1996. She currently travels the world teaching courses to parents, teachers, and children, and acting as a consultant to schools on several continents. My personal experience with Mataji is that she just carries a cabin bag. Now, if you see, cabin bag is just 7 kgs, but maybe even less than that, she carries a cabin bag. And she's completely in the renounced order of life. She just carries that cabin bag with a few clothes and her DDs and a book and a laptop. That's it.
No books. No
Okay,
books.
No books.
No,
Okay.
all my books are on my phone.
On the phone. Yeah. So we welcome Her Grace Urmila Mataji by chanting loudly the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Oh, whose garland is this?
I think Gauranga.
Oh.
Generally it is get for speakers.
Generally Gauranga, huh?
Yeah.
If we can remember Lord Chaitanya, then even difficult things become easy. And if we forget Lord Chaitanya, then even become difficult. So it's October 8th, 2025 in Pune. And we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 10, Text 1. Actually, a lot more impressive would be if I could get rid of all the anartas I carry around with me. That would be much more impressive. If I could get rid of the burden of my ahankara. That's the problem when you have a big suitcase full of all your ahankara and all your anartas. That's the bigger problem than how many clothes you wear. Shri Narada Uvacha Bhakti Yogasya Tat Sarvam Antarayata Yarbaka Manyamano Rishikesham Smayamana Uvachaha. Please chant. I think let's get the men have a chance. This is the first temple I've ever been in where the ladies chanted first. Am I still in the Hare Krishna movement? I'm not sure. My goodness. Gentlemen. So interesting. Anybody else? Srinadada Uvacha. Narada Muni said, Bhakti Yogasya, of the principles of devotional service, Tat, those blessings or benedictions offered by Lord Nrsingadev, Sarvam, each and every one of them, Antarayataya, because of being impediments on the path of Bhakti Yoga, Arbhakaha, Prahlad Maharaj, although only a boy, Manyamanaha, considering Rishikesham unto Lord Nrsingadev, Smayamanaha, smiling, Uvacha, said, Ha, in the past. Srila Prabhupada's translation, the Saint Narada Muni continued, and you have to think, Narada is talking about his disciple here. He must be speaking with a lot of satisfaction and the good kind of pride. Look at my disciple. Huh? The Saint Narada Muni continued, although Prahlad Maharaj was only a boy, when he heard the benedictions offered by Lord Nrsingadev, he considered them impediments on the path of devotional service. Thus he smiled very mildly and spoke as follows. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Is my English slow enough for all of you? It's okay? Srila Prabhupada's purport. material achievements are not the ultimate goal of devotional service. The ultimate goal of devotional service is love of Godhead. Therefore, although Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, and many devotee kings were materially very opulent, they accepted their material opulence in the service of the Lord, not for their personal sense gratification. Of course, possessing material opulence is always fearful, because under the influence of material opulence, one may be misdirected from devotional service. Nonetheless, a pure devotee, anyabhilasita shunyam, is never misdirected by material opulence. On the contrary, whatever he possesses, he engages 100% in the service of the Lord. When one is allured by material possessions, they are considered to be given by Maya. But when one uses material possessions fully for service, they are considered God's gifts or facilities offered by Krishna for enhancing one's devotional service. Let's read that last sentence again. When one is allured by material possession. Yes, let's read that all together. Let's everybody together. When one is allured by material possessions, all of us together, they are allured by material possessions. They are considered to be given by Maya. But when one uses material possessions fully for service, they are considered God's gifts or facilities offered by Krishna for enhancing one's devotional service. So whether they're Maya or whether they help our bhakti is dependent on what? Our mentality. Whether or not we are allured by them or using them in service. Sri Narada Uvacha Bhakti Yogasya Tat Sarvam Antarayatayarbhaksha Manyamano Rishikesham Smayamano Uvachaha. The saint Narada Muni continued, although Prahlad Maharaj was only a boy, when he heard the benedictions offered by Lord Nrsingadev, he considered them impediments on the path of devotional service. Thus he smiled very mildly and spoke as follows. So generally we think of spiritual life as a process of detachment, like she's glorifying me for the size of my suitcase. Hare Krishna. That's not the test of advancement in bhakti, just by the way, how big your suitcase is. But we usually think like that. We usually think that spiritual life is detachment. And in Dhyan Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Karma Yoga, the emphasis is on detachment. Bhakti is different. Bhakti is the path of attachment. And detachment is part of our sadhana, undoubtedly. It is part of our sadhana to practice detachment, but primarily detachment is a byproduct of our service. It's a byproduct of bhakti. If you love your spouse, you naturally are not interested in others, correct? Right? If the husband is thinking, my wife is the most beautiful woman in the world, why would he be interested in any other women? Naturally. Yes? If you really like your job, then you're not job hunting. If you like your home, you're not looking at the real estate magazines. Correct? Yes? So if we're attached to Krishna, naturally we are not interested in trying to enjoy the world without Krishna, but we do practice some detachment as part of our sadhana. That is also true. So it is part of the process, but mostly it is a result. Just practicing detachment as a sadhana is actually quite dangerous. Krishna warns about this. Klesho dikatarasteksham. It will be trouble if your whole emphasis is on detachment. Why? Because we are anandamaya bhyasat. And ultimate detachment is very subtle. Prahlad Maharaj as the king of the demons. He wasn't just the king, he was the king of the demons. He probably did not appear very detached. He probably had a lot of stuff. Right? I'm sure when he traveled, it was not with just one suitcase. Like, when Krishna and his entourage traveled from Dwarka to Hastinapur for the Rajasuya, he brought all 16,108 wives and all of their children and all of their teachers and all the people to do laundry and all of the people to cook. And maybe they even had to construct some bridges on the way. It was a big deal. When Maharaj Yudhisthira receives all the kings for the Rajasuya Yajna, he has to have so much wealth to take care of everything. So you may see, Prabhupada gives the example here, right, of Ambarish, Yudhisthira. They did not appear to be detached at all. Detachment is subtle. Krishna talks about seeing action in inaction and inaction in action. Yes. So we're going to look a little bit at denying the world. Then we're going to look a little bit at those who want to enjoy the world as God's grace. And then we're going to look at the ultimate goal of seeing everything as spiritual and connected in service. So denying the world, very famous verse, Bhagavatam 10:88:8. The personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. Nice friends and family, huh? You don't have any more money, goodbye. In this way, one suffers one distress after another. Prabhupada said he remembered this verse when his business failed. Of course, that wasn't because Srila Prabhupada was attached. Krishna didn't take everything away because Prabhupada was attached. Krishna took everything away so that everybody could see that Prabhupada's success was due 100% to his spiritual purity. You couldn't say, oh, he was successful because he had so much money and so many political connections. That's why he was successful. All he had was a pair of cartels and a box of books, not even very nicely printed books, if you've seen the first books. Paper was not very good quality. English was not such good quality. The lines were not even straight on the page. No illustrations. That's all he had. So that's why Krishna took everything away, not because he was attached. Of course, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 2:44 about Bhoga Aishwarya. Right? If you're attached to Bhoga and Aishwarya, Bhoga is enjoyment, Aishwarya is Ishwara. I want to be the Lord. Right? What did the demons say? Ishwaraham aham bhogi. I am the Ishwara, I am the bhogi. I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. So if having stuff and having power makes us think Ishwaraham aham bhogi, Siddhaham, I am perfect. Sukhi, I am happy. I am the happy controller of the world. Then what does Krishna say? He says, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Because to become attached to Krishna, you have to see Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He's the enjoyer and he's the controller. If I'm thinking I'm the enjoyer and I'm the controller, how am I going to become devoted to him? It will be a problem. Of course, we may think, coming to the Krishna conscious movement, I don't think that way. But if we're not experiencing the full ecstasy of prema, there's still something in us that thinks that way. Many years ago, I was having prasadam at Govinda's in Delhi with one devotee. And this devotee said to me what Prabhupada talks about, quoting actually Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, that Krishna is a transcendental autocrat. And immediately I could feel in my heart, no, I don't like autocrats. And I was so surprised. I'm like, oh, that's why I'm not experiencing prema. I don't want to accept that Krishna is the controller and Krishna is the enjoyer. That there's a rebellion in us. Why does he get to be the enjoyer? Why does he get to be the controller? So if we have this mentality, I want to be the enjoyer, I want to be the controller, then our opulence in this world becomes an impediment because we have the opulence and that opulence feeds this mentality. Yes, I'm the enjoyer. Look at my beautiful home. Look at my fancy car, all my fancy equipment, my attractive family members, my children who've gone to the best schools and have the best degrees and the highest status, right? See, I am an enjoyer and a controller. And then if you say worship Krishna, they're not so interested. They may do it as some kind of religious formality, but there's not really a surrender. So, if somebody goes to the Lord and says, my dear Lord, I surrender to you, but I'm the enjoyer and the controller. So when I was running a Gurukula, we would often have children come who were academically behind their grade level. So we had one young man, he came, he was I think 13, and we would test all the students initially. He was 5 years behind grade level, 5 years. And I said to him, do you want to catch up? He said, yes. I said, then you're going to have to work really hard. So we did it. He was our student for 2 years. In 2 years, he completed 7 years worth of schooling. So at the end of the 2 years, he was at level. He's initiated devotee. He's a teacher by profession, and he does a lot of book distribution. Really nice, really nice devotee. But I said to him, if you're going to do this, you have to be focused on your work. You understand? He was actually boarding with our family. So after school, he would have to do extra work. And the other children are playing. And I said, you're going to have to sacrifice some playtime if you want to do this. He still had playtime, not that he had to study 14 hours a day. But I said, you're going to have to sacrifice. I said, no playtime till you finished, if you're serious. But then I had other students, because I also allowed students to progress at their own rate. So I had some students who would go 2-3 years ahead. A number of students, they finished all their secondary studies at age 14. So I had some students and they'd say, oh, I want to finish early. I want to finish early. Can I go on an accelerated program? And I'd say, sure. Then I'd put them on an accelerated program and they'd say, I just want to play. So we're going to say, if you want this program, you cannot have this you cannot do both. If you say, Krishna, I want to give up my false ego, you cannot also hold on to your false ego. You understand? It doesn't work. But so Krishna can be a little tricky. And if we're insisting, I want to hold this, that's damaging my bhakti, Krishna may grab it from you. Prabhupada says people are afraid of Krishna. His name is Hare, one who takes away. People don't want to surrender to Krishna. They're afraid he's going to take away. And we may also feel like that. How many of us would go to Krishna in honesty and say, you can take away whatever you want? I don't think practically any of us would do that. Not honestly. And please don't pray dishonestly. Don't do that. I did that twice. We'll never do that again. Because then Krishna shows you how you're dishonest. He says, you don't really mean that prayer. Twice, I'm like, Krishna, I'm fully surrendered. You do whatever you want. And he was like, oh, really? What about this? And I went, oops, forget it. And a few years later, I forgot. And again, I said that. I'm just surrendered. You can do whatever you want. He's like, really? Okay, what about this? Oh, forget it, forget it. So Krishna's very tricky. If there's something he sees that's hurting us, he'll take it away. You have children and you see they're not doing their homework because they're playing with their toys. You say, put it down. You can play later. No, then you may take it away. Not because you don't love the child, not because you don't want the child to have toys. You bought the toys for the child. But because it's an impediment. Then you might say, but we're using all these things in service. But if Krishna sees that even using them in service, we're attached, and we're thinking, Ishwaraham aham bhogi. Krishna's much, I've seen this, and I've seen it dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Krishna's much more interested in the purification and devotion of individual jivas than any kind of projects. Krishna will sacrifice, he'll destroy an entire project for the sake of a jiva. I've seen Krishna do this. Krishna is much more interested in the internal devotion. He's not so interested in buildings. He's not so interested in projects. Much, much more interested in devotion. And if there has to be a choice, he'll take the devotion and ruin the project. Krishna is not sentimental about these kind of things. All right, well, that sounds kind of scary. All right, got the scary stuff out of the way. I usually like to do the negative first. All right, then there are those jivas who say, okay, all right, I have figured out how to be the Bhogashvarya. I'm going to work for God. I'm going to work for God. I'm going to do things in the service of the Lord. And that's how I'm going to become the enjoyer and controller of the world. So their motive is to try to be the enjoyer and controller of the world. See, gross materialist people think I'm going to be the enjoyer and controller of the world by figuring out the laws of nature. Like even the atheists. They're like, okay, how does chemistry work? How does physics work? How does biology work? How does astronomy work? And I'm going to figure this all out. And when I figure it all out, I'll be able to be the enjoyer and controller of the world. I mean, when I was a little kid, that was really the age of science. There was an advertisement, I cannot remember the product, but they would say, better living through chemistry. Refrigeration had just started to be a thing in the world. I mean, my parents remember when they didn't have a refrigerator, they had an ice box. And the horse and carriage would come to deliver big chunks of ice. So refrigeration was pretty new. Right before World War II, antibiotics were discovered, first the sulfa drugs, then the penicillin drugs. And then vaccines, right? Anyone my age still has a mark from the smallpox vaccine. And we were told, vaccines, antibiotics, refrigeration, we're going to defeat all the miseries of the world. Birth, death, old age, and disease is going to be gone. We're going to make a colony on the moon. When I was a child, they said, by the time you're 20, we're going to have colonized the moon. We'll have colonies under the ocean. Right? There were these TV shows, fictional TV shows of these guys going to outer space and colonizing the universe. We are going to become the enjoyers and controllers in that way, mechanistically. Did that work? It didn't really work, did it? By the time I was a teenager, we realized that we were polluting the earth. In those days, to be in favor of the environment was to be socially subversive. You were against progress. So some living entities say, I know a better way. Instead of just working with the laws of physics and chemistry, I'm going to work for God. Just like even on an ordinary level, a person may think, I'm going to make friends with a rich, famous person. And if I make friends with a rich, famous person, then that person will give me all facility. So many years ago when I was visiting India, I was introduced to one devotee who's very wealthy, and I was doing some service for the projects in that area, and then that devotee who's very wealthy said, would you like to visit Vrindavan and Mayapur while you're here? I'm like, sure. He said, okay, I'll buy your tickets, I'll arrange your drivers, I'll arrange a place for you to stay. I was like, wow. That's what it's like if you're Krishna's servant. He's like, I'll just arrange everything for you. So the demigods are all like this. They're serving Krishna for the purpose of trying to be an enjoyer and controller in the world. They don't really have a mood of seva. They're actually trying to exploit Krishna. But still, Krishna's an interesting person. You know, he sees Putana as having done some service. I'm not quite sure how that works. Right? So the demigods are like this, but their Bhogaishvarya tendency comes out. You know, in the Govardhan Leela, Indra's like, wait a minute, what about my offerings? How ridiculous. He gets offerings from all over the universe and he's concerned about one little village on one little planet. Like, how much ego would you have to have about that? You know, it's a little village on one tiny little planet in the huge universe. And then afterwards he's like, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, I won't do it again. Hey Krishna, would you please get my mother's earrings and Varuna's umbrella? Bhaumasura took them. All right, Krishna says, now I've got them. Here they are. Thank you, Krishna. Oh, and can I have this tree? No, I'm going to fight you. Krishna just gave him back the umbrella and the earrings, and then Indra says he's ready for a war. He's supposed to be a devotee. As Prabhupada talks about when Arjuna calls Krishna Govinda, Arjuna's thinking, you satisfy the senses. Why aren't you satisfying my senses? This is a very common conception among devotees. And I know I have also felt this way. Okay, Krishna, I'm chanting my rounds, I'm following the principles, I'm going to Mangalarti. Why did I get sick? What's wrong with you? Like, where's our contract here? I thought I serve you and then you give me material facility. And I've seen people leave the HareKrishna movement because of this. You know, they're following everything and then their wife has an affair and leaves them. Or their business fails. Or they get sick, or they get an accident. And they say, oh, this Krishna consciousness doesn't work. Now, Krishna does let Satkama devotees enjoy the world by his grace. He does let jivas do this. He has all the demigods that do this. And there's groups of religionists who make a philosophy of this. In America, they call it the prosperity gospel. Like she's trying to measure my bhakti by how small my suitcase is. The prosperity bhakti people, they try to measure your devotion by how big your suitcase is. That's not a joke, really. One of their pseudo preachers will get up. I saw this. I was taking a devotee friend to the hospital once early in the morning on a Sunday for a procedure, and they had the televangelists on the television. And the guy's going, the way you can tell I love Jesus is that I have a $650 million private plane. That's what he said. And I'm thinking, I don't remember that as one of the 26 qualities of a devotee. You know? He said, if you really love Jesus, you're going to be wealthy, like me. Surrender to Jesus so you can have a $650 million plane. And the way, how were they supposed to surrender to Jesus? You knew that one already, right? By sending money to him, right? How do you surrender to Jesus? Send me your money. He was telling people, just have faith that Jesus will provide for you. Max out your credit cards and send the donation to me. That's actually what he was saying. So there are religionists who think like that. Prabhupada talked about one of his godbrothers. He said he wanted the properties. He said, so after my Guru Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati passed away, Prabhupada said, he said this godbrother, Krishna, gave him all the properties, but he didn't give him the mission. Krishna didn't give Prabhupada any Gaudiya Math properties, but he gave him the mission. So then there's that. So one is the devotee, they're sincere, but they're attached, and Krishna takes things away. Then there's the other devotee who's exploitive and manipulative, and they're not asking Krishna for bhakti. They're asking Krishna for opulence, and Krishna may say, okay, you can take this, do something with it. Use it for some service somehow in the universe. All right, but what do we really want? We really want to see everything as spiritual. We want to see in every situation there's service, and in every situation I'm a servant. One of my favorite quotes, Prabhupada's letter to Sukadeva in 73, Krishna has given everyone something extraordinary, and to serve Krishna with one's extraordinary talent means successful life. All of us have something wonderful. All of us have some abilities. We may have some abilities that are very uncommon, and we may have a very common ability. Maybe we're an expert idli cook, and there's so many other expert idli cooks, but still that's our talent. Many times when people first take up Krishna consciousness, they reject all of their talents and all their opulences. I think of it metaphorically like you come and you throw everything in the dumpster, and then after maybe 10, 15 years, you go, you know, maybe I could have used that in service. Another quote I really like is that of Sudama Brahmana, chapter 81, where he says, Prabhupada's writing like this in Krishna book, he says, the unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, this is when Sudama left Dwarka with nothing. Of course, he didn't ask for anything either. His wife told him to ask for something, but he didn't. He didn't even voluntarily give the cheap rice. And he left, Krishna had given him nothing. He says, the unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna knows that many great personalities have fallen from their positions because of extravagant opulence. Therefore, even when his devotee asks for some opulence from him, the Lord sometimes does not give it. He is very cautious about his devotee, because a devotee in an immature position of devotional service may, if offered great opulence, fall from his position due to being in the material world. Therefore, the Lord does not offer opulence to him. This is another manifestation of the causeless mercy of the Lord upon his devotee. His first interest is that the devotee does not fall. He is exactly like a well-wishing father who does not give much wealth into the hand of his immature son, but who, when the son is grown up and knows how to spend money, gives him the whole treasury house. So the idea is that we should become mature and responsible so Krishna can give us the whole treasury house without our becoming bewildered. Now, of course, it's interesting, our acharyas say that the reason that Krishna did give Sudama the whole treasury house is that Sudama was materially, you ready? Sudama was materially attached to his vairagya. Vairagya is can be another kind of egoism. I am so renounced. Just see how little I have. Yes? Like it can be another, Maya is very interesting. And so Krishna's like, no. Be attached to bhakti, not to renunciation. In that case, the opulence that Krishna took away from Sudama because he was attached to it was the opulence of renunciation. We think the opulence Krishna may take away is the opulence of money or family or health or something. But in this case, he took away his vairagya. Srila Prabhupada explains the reason that Krishna didn't appear a second time to Narada is that Narada was too attached to sattva gun. He wanted to live in the forests. There's a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave on the Nectar Devotion in 1973 in Kolkata. Prabhupada says, this is very important. Some way or other, one has to fix up his mind in Krishna, and Krishna is not stereotyped. It is the spiritual master's business, now this would be the mentors also acting on behalf of the guru. It is the spiritual master's business to see the disciple in which way he has got tendency. And he tries to utilize his natural tendency in the matter of serving Krishna. Prabhupada never, ever said that you should just have people do whatever is needed to be done. Never. Prabhupada never used the term do the needful to mean that. He would use the term do the needful to, I sent a check, it's going to the post office, please pick it up and do the needful. But rather, Prabhupada said, it's the business of the guru, and this means it's the business of those who represent the guru, to see the disciple in which way he's got the tendency, and he tries to utilize his natural tendency in the matter of serving Krishna. One has got tendency, Prabhupada says, for a certain thing. That tendency can be engaged in Krishna's service. It is not difficult. Simply it requires training and guidance. And Prabhupada quotes 1846, that everyone can become perfect by doing their natural work. One has got a particular tendency to work. By that work, if it is nicely done, you can satisfy Krishna. Our only business is to satisfy Krishna. Whatever business you may have, it doesn't matter. Whatever talent you've got, it doesn't matter. If you can utilize that talent for Krishna's satisfaction, then your life is successful. So this not only means our tendencies and our talents, but it also means our stuff. Our money, our family members, our connections. And what is the mentality? Prabhupada talks about this in a lecture on 1/3/27 in 1972. He says the thing is that here is the sense that this rice or dal is given by Krishna. There is remembrance of Krishna. Therefore it is spiritual. And here in the hotel they do not know Krishna, therefore it is matter. That is the difference between matter and spirit. Actually, everything is emanation from Krishna, so there cannot be anything matter. Idam hi vishvam bhagavan. But the forgetfulness, the material world is, what is this material world? The material world is that everyone is forgetting Krishna. Their only business is to forget Krishna. Therefore, it is material. But if Krishna consciousness is there, there's no more material world. And Prabhupada in a lecture on Kshatriya says, Ishopanit, this is 1969, everything belongs to God, but God has given me a chance to handle these things. Therefore, my knowledge and intelligence will be there if I utilize for serving God. That is my intelligence. As soon as I utilize them for my sense gratification, then I am entrapped. Same thing Prabhupada said at the end of the purport, right? Once you scroll to the end of the purport. The same example can be given. If the bank cashier thinks, oh, so many millions of dollars at my disposal, let me something put in my pocket, then he is entrapped. Right? Remember that sentence we said all together? Yes? A little bit up. I want that right there. When one is allured, that's it. Starting with that. When one is allured, who's controlling this? Yeah, there you go. What makes it matter, what makes it spirit, is our mentality. If we use the world in service as a servant, Krishna may want us to do so many things. Right? Going on in this lecture, Prabhupada said, otherwise you enjoy, you get good salary, you get good comforts, and do your work nicely for Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. Everything should be considered as Krishna's, not a farthing mine. That is Krishna consciousness. But not like the demigods. Not like, oh, Krishna's given this to me to enjoy, therefore let me enjoy separately from Krishna. But let me enjoy, this is Krishna's prasad. But my enjoyment is in Krishna. So we should reject some things. The second point of surrender, first point is to accept what's favorable. Second point is to reject what's unfavorable. Therefore, we reject eating meat, fish, and eggs, taking intoxication, gambling, having illicit sex. If we do those things, we will think Ishwaraham, Aham Bhogi, Siddhaham. We'll forget Krishna. Very difficult to remember Krishna if you're eating meat and gambling and having illicit sex, taking intoxication. Maybe possible. Prabhupada said the drunkard can think Krishna is the taste of their wine. But very difficult, yes? So we reject those things. And we have to see in our own personal life, is there something that makes me forget Krishna? Like some years ago, I realized, oh, this particular service that I'm doing, when I'm doing this service, it's not compatible with me. And I end up not being able to do it as a service. It doesn't fit who I am. It hurts me. Even though it's a service that someone else can do nicely, it's not a service that I can do nicely. So we have to see individually like that. For some people, the best situation is grahastha. For some people, the best situation is vanaprastha. And that may change at different times in your life also. When you're 25, maybe the best situation is grahastha, but when you're 65, the best situation is vanaprastha. You have to see, what am I going to accept, what am I going to reject, according to my nature, my tendencies, my personality, my attachments. And it may not be the same as somebody else. We can't just look at someone else and say, oh, they're attached or they're detached. Yes? If there are things that are hurting our bhakti and we don't voluntarily give them up, Krishna will take them. If there are things that are hurting our bhakti and we don't voluntarily give them up, and we are sincere in our bhakti, we're not a sakama devotee, Krishna will take them. But the main thing we need to give up is this ahankara. Bhakti is not so much about giving up things. It's about giving up an enjoying mentality. What is it? To be allured. That's the main thing that we want to give up. And if we can deal with people and the world in bhakti, then we will grow personally in bhakti, and we can do wonderful things for Krishna in the world. Krishna is most concerned that we personally become Krishna conscious. Even if it means that we don't get to do any wonderful things because we'll be too allured. He's more interested in our bhakti. But Krishna also wants us to do wonderful things in the world for him. So if we can become mature and see everything as service and ourselves as a servant and not as an enjoyer, then Krishna may give us great facility in the world as service. And we use it without attachment. And then when Krishna says, time to give it up, we give it up. We weren't attached to having it or not having it. Krishna tells Arjuna, stand and fight. Lift up your Gandiva bow, Arjuna. And then later, when it was time for Arjuna to renounce the world, he couldn't even string his Gandiva bow. Prabhupada said those abilities were not useful for going back to Godhead. And that was his job now. Didn't need them anymore. 𝗦𝗿𝗺𝗶𝗺, you may know him. He works with ISKCON Resolve. And for many years, he and his family lived in Vrindavan. He saw many devotees leave their body there. And he remembers one devotee came, she had cancer or something, and she thought she would die very fast, but she died very slowly. And she was an artist. And gradually, the disease made her more and more incapable. And she said something to him that always he remembered. He said, my whole devotional life, I've been an artist for Krishna, but I can't do my art anymore. So now it's just for Krishna. So we're all going to come to a point when it's just for Krishna. When I'm not doing this for Krishna, I'm not having this for Krishna, I don't have these responsibilities for Krishna, it's just for Krishna. But while we're of sound health and capability, if we can use things nicely in service as a servant without becoming enamored by them, then Krishna may give us everything. So that we have to consider. What is good for me in my bhakti at this time in my life? Different for different people, different at different times. And to look honestly, am I able to use this or do this without being enamored? How can I work on my mentality? If I want Krishna to give me wonderful things in his service, how am I using what I have now? How am I dealing with what I have now? Do I have the mentality that here I have some service and I am a servant? So I think I've used up all the time. I'm sorry. So do we have time for questions or no, I'm finished? I have to ask the Revati-pati. 2. That means they have to be, it's funny, people say have a short question. I always wonder, is that a question with a yes or no answer? Yes, Prabhu. Do we have a traveling mic?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very, very much, Mataji. You actually answered my question even without me asking the question. So that was very, very inspiring. I'll hear that part of the lecture again. But currently the question is, Mataji, that, apart from giving up the possessions, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that, there are 4 kinds of people who come to who come to him, like those who are in need of, distress and needy and all that. So if you see in Indian context, Mataji, our temples are very big and there are so many people who come, visitors who come, and there are devotees who come. So how does Krishna take care of them? Because they might not come with the intention of pure devotional service. So how do we see?
It's perfectly fine to be a beginner when you're a beginner. It's totally legitimate to be a beginner when you're a beginner. When you're a beginner, Krishna doesn't care what you came for. He doesn't even care if you came to kill him, which is astonishing. Krishna doesn't care why you came in the beginning. He's just so happy you've come. He's just so happy you've come. But then mature. Don't stay a beginner.
Mataji, as you mentioned in your lecture that everybody has got something which can be used in service of the Lord. So would somebody help them, as you said, mentors would guide them and do it. So is it also for the people at large or only for those who have taken up to the devotional service that their skills can be used in service?
For the world.
So it will require a lot of management, Mataji. So
indeed.
So that's why is it that Srila Prabhupada said 50% of his job is remaining in terms of establishing Daivi Varnashram? Is there a connection between this and Daivi Varnashram?
Maybe.
Hare Krishna.
You want to come to my classes on Varnashram?
Yes, Mataji.
I'm giving 3 of them here. 1 today.
Okay, I'll get the schedule, Mataji. I'll come. Yes.
We were just training in GV. We were training devotees how to become career Dharma coaches so that they could work with anybody. How to discover what is your Dharma so they can do this service for Krishna in the world. And we would see that just if people could theoretically understand their Dharma, they became bright. They still here? I thought some of my coaches were here. Yeah, there you are. We saw, right? We saw they went from darkness to light, just thinking about doing their dharma. Imagine if people were actually doing their dharma. Much of the darkness of the world would dissipate. But we have to know what we're doing to teach varnashram. Varnashram doesn't mean that everyone has to have a cow in their backyard. If you say to everyone in Pune, well, to do varnashram, you have to have a cow on your balcony. So we have to understand what does it mean? Yes. So first of all, we should do this for the devotees, so we all know how to use our nature and our talents in service. Otherwise, we tend to go bhoktiag, 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 bhoktiag. We try to artificially renounce, artificially enjoy, artificially renounce. We don't know how to use in service. So this is a problem for our devotees, but it's certainly a problem for the world. What we have to offer the world is not just sadhana bhakti. I think most of what we go to offer the world is just holy name, prasad, archana. We have an entire socio-economic system to offer the world. Am I correct? Am I correct? Prabhupada didn't talk about that much, right? Did Prabhupada talk much about varnashram and a socio-economic system? Not much, right? He just talked about like Ras Leela, right?
There in the purpose.
He talked a lot about these things, am I correct? Yes. If you're listening to Prabhupada's lectures, you know on 𝗏𝗏, Prabhupada gave a whole lecture on varnashram. Did you know that? On 𝗏𝗏. Then the last 2 minutes he said, so today is the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. There are 2 verses repeated twice in the Bhagavad Gita. Oh, you know Manmana Bhagavan, but what about the other one? Ah, interesting. Maybe they have something to do with each other. Yes, what's your question? Is that all right? Does that answer your question? Does that answer your question? The mic is coming here. Yes, mic here. Oh, you have a mic here. All right. They have one on their side. This is such a nice temple.
Hare Krishna.
When I'm here, I feel like I'm actually a member of ISKCON. I don't feel like that in every temple. Yes, what's your question?
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for your wonderful class. Please accept my humble obeisance as your aspiring servant. Mataji, my question is when we try to implement Yukta Vairagya and just devote everything we have to Krishna, there is subtle enjoyment tendency which we generally don't notice. So how to notice it and how to try to eradicate it?
Okay. Again, it's okay to be where you are when you are. Someone wrote me the other day, I'm doing this service for Krishna, but I have mixed motives. I said, of course. Yes, and? If we're not experiencing prema, that means, by definition, we have still some anarthas, correct? Or at least bhava. But even then, there's a smell of camphor from the camphor pot. But if we're a sadhaka, that means we still have anarthas. That's what it means to be a sadhaka. You cannot say, well, I'm a sadhaka, but I don't have any mixed motives. That makes no sense. So yes, we have mixed motives. So, what are we going to do about that? Are you ready? Are you sure? This is scary.
Yes.
You ready? Ask Krishna to show you what your blocks are and how to remove them. And if that's too scary, ask him to give you the courage to ask to see the truth about yourself. You can ask him to show you in a pleasant way. So I've done that. I've said, Krishna, please show me what subtle attachments I need to let go of, and please show me through joy. I said to him, look, I'm a teacher. I have so many teaching methods. You must have more than one. You can't have just the suffering method. You've got to have others. I said, can you use the joy method on me? But then I had to promise him. I had to say, I'm going to listen. You understand? A few weeks ago, one devotee wrote me, Urmila, I'd like you to be on this advisory board for this major ISKCON project. And I said, oh, very nice. I'm very honored. I said, but I have a condition that you must accept at least 10% of my advice. So he responded with a laughing emoji. I said, no, I'm serious. Then he said, well, all right, if ever I'm willing to accept 10% of your advice, I will ask you. I don't expect to ever hear from him again. So if you want to ask Krishna, you have to be willing to listen, not 10%, 100%. You follow? So you ask Krishna, my dear Krishna, please show me my subtle mixed motives that are an impediment. And you can say, please show me in a joyful way. Please don't hit me over the head with your stick. Just use your flute, not your stick. And I promise you, I will listen, I will believe you, and I will act on it. And if that's very scary, Krishna, please show me the truth about myself and I will listen and do it. I don't want to ask him that. So if that's frightening to you, be honest that it's frightening. Don't ever ask for something that's not genuine. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Please don't ever do that. But then you can say, Krishna, please give me the courage to ask this in a genuine way. And Krishna will be very happy. Just like any teacher. You go to a teacher and you say, I want to learn more. Genuinely. The teacher is very happy. Yes? Any of you who are teachers? Yes? Aren't you happy? Someone's eager to learn? But be careful. You need to listen and you need to follow. If you go to Krishna and ask him that, and then he shows you, and then you don't listen, the next time you ask, is he going to show you? No. He'll wait quite a while before he'll trust you again. Like Sachinanda Maharaj said, we're all worried about whether or not I can trust Krishna, but maybe we should worry about whether or not Krishna can trust me. So as you see your mixed motives, if you admit them, if you own them, if you say, oh, I actually have this mixed motive. And then you look at it and you become disgusted with it and say, my dear Lord, please remove this. He will remove it. That is the process of anartha nivritti. And then we'll come to the point, eventually, Prabhupada's promising us. I just heard Prabhupada say the other day, Krishna may sometimes break his promise to save his devotee, but he'll always keep the devotee's promise. And Prabhupada's promising us that we're going to achieve perfection if we do this. Right? So don't worry.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much. Anything good in this class was from Srila Prabhupada, our acharyas, the Bhagavatam. Anything bad in this class was my responsibility. Please accept the good and ignore the bad. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna. So we're very thankful for Her Grace, Harman Mataji, who removed so much of time and gave us so much of good knowledge. Mataji has written some couple of books also here, they're displayed. If anybody wants to purchase from her, they can purchase from her. Get a nice autograph also. Oh, who's managing this?
I don't know. This is going to the temple, the book sales. But I'm happy to sign it for you. Okay? And we have this is a Bhagavad Gita study guide. So, no, not. The Bhagavad Gita study guide. So this was actually written even for 5-year-olds, but we know of many adults who use it, and it's used in many, like bhakti programs. Has summaries of the whole Bhagavad Gita, questions and answers on every chapter, key verses to memorize. And this is how you can remember Krishna always in the taste of water and the light of the sun and your ability and the trees and the birds. And this is a novel, actually won an award. This is a novel taking you from material life to Krishna Prema. And this is how to chant without offense. And this is how to bring Varnashram to yourself in the world. All right, and I'm happy to sign books for you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
बुक्स पूरी लिमिटेड
मनश्च विरास्तम् अलम लक्ष्यलाभे। नमो देवदामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जाल विमग्न। प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जाल विमग्न। कृपा दृष्टि वृष्टते दीनवतानो। कृपा दृष्टि वृष्टते दीनवतानो। ग्रहाणे क्षमामज्ञ एते अक्षदृश्य। कुबेरात्मजो बद्ध मूर्तैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितो भक्ति भजो कृतो च। तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयच्छ। तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयच्छ। न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेस्ति दामोदरेह। नमस्तेस्तु दाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायत विश्वस्य धाम्ने। नमस्तेस्तु दाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायत विश्वस्य धाम्ने। नमो राधिकाय त्वदीय प्रियाय। नमो राधिकाय त्वदीय प्रियाय। हे नमो राधिकाय त्वदीय प्रियाय। नमो अनंत लीलाय देवाय तोभ्यम्। ओभ्यं नमो अनंत लीलाय देवाय तोभ्यम्। हे नमामीश्वरं सच्चित् आनन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम्। यशोदाभियो लोकलादवमान। यशोदाभियो लोकलादवमान। परमिष्टमात्यन्ततो धृत्य गोप्य। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की श्री दामोदर अष्टकम की जय।